good morning, good day, good evening, whatever your time zones may be. It doesn't matter, you're here for GPRL and GPRL only. Alongside me, as always,
everybody, wherever you're watching around the world, and yeah, it's looking like we're going to have another exciting installment of the GPRL Summer Series. This is round 3 here in Austria.
It is. It's quite interesting in the channel load into qualifying. Adam, do you have the championships as we go through this one-shot qualifying session?
Of course. So in the drivers' standings, big week last week in the Italian race. Of course, if you hadn't seen it, I do recommend you go check that out. But for those of you that had, you will know, as he likes to be referred to sometimes, has now taken the lead of the Drivers' Championship after a very successful outing, according winning in the feature race, with Fletcher now relegated to second. However, big change in the stand is expected today with Fletcher competing, and as you can see, KJ Eltink not in the running order. So those two running away with the championship at the moment, as we're going through the order at the moment. Of course, in the Constructors' Championship, it's a lot more competitive, with Racing Point taking the lead of the Constructors' Championship, with Mercedes going down to second, an 8-point swing there in their favour, with Red Bull 1 point behind Mercedes. And of course, Williams, after Heinz Pieter with his first win of the season in GPRL in the sprint race in Italy, has put Williams back in the fold. And of course, our former championship leaders, Renault, had a dismal weekend after such a successful outing at Silverstone, scored no points in either of the races, and are now chasing behind. As we just come back to qualifying now, we can see Marine in the Red Bull doing exactly what he needs to do, fastest of all at the moment. Let's see when it comes to the final sector. Not many corners, only 8 corners, pretty 1 minute 4 for most guys that are competitive, maybe in the 1 minute 3s today. As they come across the line now, what is the pole time going to be? It looks like Fletcher's going to come across the line first, a 1 minute 4.5 for Fletcher.
Yeah, Moran obviously made a mistake. He was in the lead, I think, and possibly set to claim his second, the first ever 2-time pole sitter he would have been in the GPRL Sprint Series. Wasn't meant to be though. He must have had an invalidation midway through the lap. So did Dylan a little bit further back. And as you mentioned earlier, Adam, Renault with a dismal week last week. It wasn't only Renault, it was Red Bull as well, who Felix had internet issues, which thankfully he's sorted out now. Marine didn't score many points at all, but you know, positive signs. P3 for Felix, but Jai Fletcher up in pole position, a 104.589. That's a strong lap, very strong for one-shot qualifying standards, and he's looking to claim his second win this series. Anything else to point out from qualifying, Adam?
Well, that's, as you mentioned, that's Fletcher's second pole position of this summer series. And of course, the only opportunity to qualify in this format would be before the feature race, and Fletcher's got 2 out of 3. So once again, Fletcher proving that when the chips are down, when everything is on the line and you've got one opportunity, he nails it better than most of the guys that I've seen. So it's definitely an advantage to have that in your arsenal. Of course, as you mentioned, Marine got pole position in the Italian race, and it's very easily to have your lap invalidated around the circuit. As I mentioned, 8 corners, 79% full throttle for most of this lap, Alex. It's very easy to go offline, go onto the AstroTurf, and with the corner culling rules set to strict, as these guys will know very well, one wrong move, one late break, and you find yourselves invalidating your lap, which is what Marine has done, which has sent him to the back of the grid. So he's got a lot of work to do in this 25% feature race coming up for you.
But let's just remember 3 DRS zones, you know, almost half of the lap is taken on DRS. Expect a lot of overtakes here in this 25% race, even more so in the 5-lap race coming up just a little bit later. We're waiting for the drivers to load onto the grid now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Alex. 3 DRS zones around this track. Obviously, the run-up to turn 1 being one of them, not really one that people tend to overtake at, with the long run up to turn 2, which isn't really a turn, and turn 3, which I'm expecting most overtakes into the dreaded turn 3. Almost 90-degree corner where we saw Max Verstappen brilliantly take the lead from Charles Leclerc at last year's Austrian Grand Prix, and of course the run down into turn 4 that immediately follows as a double DRS, almost a triple DRS if you like, round this circuit. Only 8 corners, a very short lap, but it's very easy to lose time on this circuit and very difficult to gain it back, so everyone's going to have to be switched on, Alex. Such a short format of racing, but an equally exciting one, it must be said. What we've had so far, definitely a lot of highlights, and I'm hoping for more of those today.
Yeah, obviously it will be interesting just hearing that. I think we've got a lobby glitch, so I think we'll have to restart. So apologies for that delay. So I will just, if I can quit, I will do so. We'll have to load up the game again. Apologies for this. This seems to happen way too often.
I feel like we